Cronkite News starts now.
Good evening and welcome to Cronkite News on Arizona PBS. I'm Emily Carmen. Thank you for joining us. Triple-digit heat is returning to central and southern Arizona. A wet monsoon season briefly cooled Phoenix summer temperatures down into the 80s last month. The National Weather Service in Phoenix has issued an excessive heat warning for the Phoenix area and lower deserts. Highs are expected to range from 110 to 113 degrees over the next few days. Across the valley, heat relief stations offering water and a place to cool off were activated by several cities and the Salvation Army. Phoenix Park officials are keeping hikers off of some trails during the hottest hours because firefighters were getting sick during mountain rescues. A Phoenix school district wants a judge to dismiss a lawsuit over its COVID-19 mask mandate. It could be a test case for other districts. Attorneys for Phoenix Union High School District argued at a preliminary hearing yesterday that a state law banning such policy isn't in effect yet. They say the legislation that includes the ban doesn't take effect until September 29th. A biology teacher filed a lawsuit this week asking for a temporary restraining order on the measure. Both sides are expected to give full arguments next week. Since Phoenix Union's decision, 4 more school districts have also gone against the law, including Tucson's largest district. Maricopa County now offers a COVID dashboard on their website to better follow COVID-19 data. The website provides services like a map that can track transmission rates by zip code through the county. The goal of the dashboard is to provide parents with tools so they can make decisions on how to handle enrolling their kids safely in K-12 schools as the pandemic continues. Maricopa County updated their guidance to follow the CDC's. Hospitals across the valley are preparing to serve more COVID patients as cases continue to rise. Valleywise Medical Center in Phoenix recently opened an additional COVID-19 unit since they have seen the number of COVID-related hospitalizations increase in the last few weeks. Other hospitals like Banner Health and Phoenix Children's are also seeing the same climb in COVID admissions. This has created concern among medical providers over resource allocation and their ability to care for non-COVID patients.
If we have to open additional space to care for these patients, we will of course do that, but that's going to negatively impact our ability to deliver care on other things, much like we saw earlier in the years, in January and then last summer as well around that. It affects the entire rest of the hospital operations when you do that. Our goal is to get in front of this and hopefully not have to expand this any further.
Arizona Senator Mark Kelly delivered his first speech on the floor of the United States Senate yesterday, since he was sworn in on December 2nd, 2020. His speech kept with the Senate tradition of giving an official maiden speech early during a senator's first term. In it, Kelly highlighted how he has worked with both Republicans and Democrats to beat COVID-19, rebuild and reinvent Arizona's economy for the future, and create good-paying jobs while getting Arizonans the technical training and skills they need to succeed.
And now we're on the verge of passing it. This is going to fix roads and bridges, improve tribal water and transportation infrastructure, expand affordable high-speed internet access, and make Arizona more resilient to drought and wildfires.
Now a look back at how summer heat can take a toll on our state.
We have already entered monsoon season here in Arizona, and with monsoons comes dust, dirt, and a lot of bacteria. As the pandemic is starting to slow down, doctors are saying that masks might be a good protection against other diseases, one being valley fever. Reporter Julia Sandor spoke to experts about the signs, symptoms, and precautions you should take to avoid this lung issue.
Valley fever is caused when a certain fungus found in soil is inhaled. The signs and symptoms are usually mild, but if infected, you may have a fever, cough, and fatigue. To test for the illness, professionals look for the development of antibodies that fight the infection, not the pathogen directly.
Valley fever is something we test primarily as a blood test, so we're looking for the presence of antibodies that are directed towards the fungi, which is called Coccidioides immitis.
The fungus grows in alkaline soil, which is very common in the Arizona desert. Dr. David Hatfield, Chief Medical Officer at Hatfield Medical Group, explains who is most at risk for valley fever and how they may be able to prevent it.
There are certain populations of people that the risk is a little higher. So think people that live in the Southwest, particularly Arizona. Think people that have had organ transplant, that have taken steroids for a long period of time, and folks with diabetes. Usually it affects adults older than the age of 60, but it can affect all populations. Wearing a mask, is particularly an N95 mask, can also be a good way to prevent valley fever.
The disease cannot spread from person to person, and it is helpful to see a doctor to get tested and receive treatment.
If you are experiencing flu-like symptoms that don't seem to resolve over time, it's either really beneficial to have that conversation with your provider to say, hey, have you thought about Coxsackie? Should we order that as a physician order test?
And if you don't have access to a primary doctor, you can order tests online to evaluate yourself. In Phoenix, Julia Sandor, Cronkite News.
Any healthcare provider can test for valley fever, and depending on the type of test, results can be available in a few days or in a couple of weeks.
Arizona hit the triple digits for the first time this week, and it's only getting hotter from here. Unfortunately, not everyone has the means to properly protect and care for themselves during these harsh summer months. Reporter Isabella Fredrickson shows us how the city of Glendale is taking extra steps to provide relief for the most vulnerable.
When the temperature hits triple digits, a simple bottle of water could be the difference between life and death.
Here in Arizona, the number one cause of death is usually due to the severe heat that takes place here. And so we just try to be a safe haven for people to come to receive that kind of support so they can recuperate and go on to their next journey.
Lieutenant Perfecta Whedon of the Glendale Salvation Army hopes that people in need make a pit stop on their journey at one of the many heat relief stations located around Glendale, including the Glendale Cemetery, all 4 Glendale public libraries, and many city buildings.
Whenever there is a heat advisory that we receive from the National Weather Service, we activate our heat relief stations, and it's at these stations where on those days from 11 a.m. to 5 p.m. we open our doors.
Last year, Maricopa County reported the highest number of heat-related deaths in recorded history. According to Maricopa County Public Health, 323 deaths related to heat occurred in 2020. And Arizona's record heat is just as deadly for our furry friends.
At these heat relief stations, we also are allowed people that may have dogs with them, as long as they have a leash on, we allow them to come inside to be able to cool off with their owners as well.
Not only does the Salvation Army provide water for those in need, but many other resources.
We also provide sunblock, hand sanitizer, face mask if people are needing those. And sometimes it might just be just a small bite to eat.
Whedon understands that sometimes people need more than necessities.
But we try to serve the whole person, whether it be mentally, emotionally, physically, spiritually. We even take the time to pray with them if that's what's needed as well.
In Glendale, Isabella Fredrickson, Cronkite News.
The City of Glendale offers other heat-related resources, including emergency home repair and utility assistance. You can find all of these resources on the heat relief map provided by the Maricopa Association of Governments website.
Governor Doug Ducey held a news conference in Globe today to discuss the Telegraph and Mescal fires in Pinal and Gila counties. The governor announced he is calling the legislature into special session as early as next week to address resources needed to fight wildfires and protect homes from monsoon flooding on charred lands. Reporter Julia Sandor has the latest from the news conference.
They're working around the clock, and because of their valiant efforts, we've been able to make big strides in containing the fires.
The Telegraph fire is the 9th largest wildfire in Arizona history, burning through 85,335 acres according to the National Fire Information System. Ducey has issued 2 declarations of emergency and was approved by the Federal Emergency Management Agency for a fire management assistance grant. The grant makes up to $400,000 available for response efforts. 5 houses were lost in the fire so far, including Arizona House Speaker Rusty Bowers' home.
Our focus is you. That's our focus. We can't build my house back next week. It's going to take a while.
Ducey met with firefighters and visited the evacuation center located at the High Desert Middle School in Globe. Many were told to evacuate their homes in Miami and the surrounding areas. And there are safe places for RVs, animals, and livestock. As of today, the Telegraph fire is 40% contained, while the Mescal fire is 36% contained.
So we have weeks and weeks until the monsoon happens. We don't know the exact beginning of these fires, but the anticipation is that they were human caused. So these are avoidable.
In Phoenix, Julia Sandor, Cronkite News.
Right now, both fires can climb the list of biggest fires in Arizona history if they continue to spread. Be sure to check for road closures if you plan to travel in that area.
As the summer temperatures remain in the triple digits, people are encouraged to stay inside. However, power line workers don't have much of a choice. Cronkite News reporter Isabella Fredrickson shows us how these workers stay safe.
During excessive heat warnings, most of us spend our time comfortably inside with the AC on high. That is all thanks to the hard-working power line workers who spend hours in the extreme heat to ensure residents have electricity. How do these workers stay safe? Robert Horn, manager of distribution line maintenance at Salt River Project, explains they prepare for the heat before summer even starts.
We do a lot of stuff in the cooler months to try to get our system up to par to be able to withstand the heat of the summer. So hopefully we don't have to be out there as much. We reduce our outages to our customers where we can, and so we really work to try to minimize our exposure the best we can to both our personnel and our customers.
Horn admits that while they can do a lot to be ready ahead of time, at the end of the day, workers still have to be outside, so they do all that they can to lessen the impact of the sun.
We start as early as we can in the morning, provide shade structures, and like I say, take breaks, watch out for one another. Safety is paramount here at SRP, and so we like to ensure that they have all the tools and resources and training they need to be able to withstand the heat.
While Horn and other managers do all that they can to prepare workers for the excessive heat, he explains that it is the crew who serves the most important role in ensuring each other's safety.
I mean, it really comes down to the individuals out in the field looking out for one another and making sure they're staying hydrated, taking as many breaks as they need in order to stay cool and not get themselves into a situation where, they succumb to a heat-related illness.
In Mesa, Isabella Fredrickson, Cronkite News.
The teacup pig craze started in the 80s, and it is a still growing problem today. Many pigs in Arizona are abandoned, but Better Piggies Rescue in Phoenix is always taking them in and taking on the challenge. Reporter Julia Sander visited the rescue to learn more about the pigs.
There is more than 115 animals at Better Piggies Rescue. Whether they are abused and neglected from their owner, or if they jump off a truck on its way to the slaughterhouse, these pigs are brought to a safe haven.
No rescue is the same. We see all different types of situations, and unfortunately we meet a lot of horrible people in those situations, but we're able to rescue these kiddos when we can.
Types of pigs at Better Piggies Rescue range from potbelly to cooney to farm hogs, and they all vary in size. Farm hogs are some of the largest, and when they're fully grown, they can range from 500 to 1,300 pounds. A lot of breeders trick buyers with the size of these pigs when they're piglets and describe them as teacup pigs or Juliana pigs, just to sell them. Dwight Dixon at Better Piggies Rescue says buyers usually don't realize all the challenges that come with owning a pig.
The biggest challenge that I would say that comes with it is usually that intelligence factor. If you don't get them spayed or neutered, they're just an absolute nightmare, just period. They are a nightmare. And then the way that I try to put it in terms for people, it's like having a 6-year-old child for upwards of 20 years because pigs can live 15 to 20 years.
He says having one pig is like having 20, and having 2 pigs is like having 2. So they embrace the idea of the more the merrier. With the amount of pigs they have, they are always looking for volunteers. A volunteer's job is not just cleaning, it's also showing the animals companionship and affection. Many of the pigs are coming from harmful situations, so petting and playing with the pigs helps them grow at Better Piggies Rescue.
Pigs are amazing, amazing pets because they are so loving, they're so kind, they bond so well with their people, and they just become part of the family.
In Phoenix, Julia Sandor, Cronkite News.
Betterment says the rescue gets about 15 to 20 surrender requests every 2 weeks, and they suggest everyone do their research before buying their own pig.
That's it for Cronkite News tonight. Thank you for joining us. We break down some of the unsung World War I and II heroes called the Navajo Code Talkers. That's coming up next. For top Arizona stories anytime, go to cronkitenews.azpbs.org.